Yeah, first, please come to joj2020.com, joj2020.com. And I've got a PhD in industrial organizational psychology. I teach at Clemson. So you mentioned earlier about maybe people have the misconception of IBM, or not IBM, about libertarians being kind of on the fringe. I mean, I'm teaching college students. States were supposed to be able to make their own choices. So as far as the police force, if somebody spends too much money on the police, keep in mind it has to come from somewhere. Taxpayers might say, you know, I don't want to pay these high taxes. I'm going somewhere else. And that's actually what's going on in California. There are a lot of people fleeing to Texas, Idaho, and other states because they don't want so much money taken out of their paychecks. You know, if one person wants to pay for sex and the other one wants to offer it and they both do it voluntarily, that's no problem. First of all, if there is no victim, there is no crime. The president doesn't have to just pass laws. I mean, look at the lockdown. The President Trump was up there talking about the coronavirus, how everybody should stay home. He's got Dr. Fauci out there talking about it. And so a lot of states are following his lead. So if I got up there and I said, hey, you don't need the tanks, I encourage you to get rid of them, maybe they would listen. But if any of them are still owned by the federal government, I would take them back. A town might say, you know what, we'd rather have a better school. We'd like to build a new high school instead of having this tank, and they can sell it. Libertarians believe in police, courts, and military. So for the government. So yes, absolutely have the government have a military. Absolutely have the government run police departments. And yes, have them run the courts. Right now, we've got troops all over the world that are creating more problems than they're causing. We're helping to support wealthy Europe. There's no reason why, poor people here should have their tax dollars go to pay for a military for France or Germany. Let them pay for their own. We need to get back to a time when the politicians have to live under the laws that they create. Let me mention, so over in Singapore, where doctors have to compete, where all the prices are out there and they don't have the type of insurance we have here. Heart bypass here costs $130,000. A heart bypass in Singapore costs only $18,000. That's the whole point of the free market, is that the free market, that's the control. That people, in order to get your business, have to give you a lower price. I love my iPhone. I love my MacBook. We would not have iPhones, MacBooks, and all of these other things if we didn't have the intense competition between Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. Part of the problem with the healthcare system is, since we don't have the free market, doctors don't have to compete for us. I want doctors to have to compete for my business the same way automobile dealers and computer dealers compete. I would like to point out that, yes, Amazon and Walmart Online have made huge profit gains from last year, January to March. However, the small mom and pop stores, their business was down by like 75%. But if you look, a lot of states would allow Walmart to remain open, and yet the little mom and pop clothing store, they had to close down. So once again, you've got government on the side of big business, because in order to get into office, you need to spend a lot of money. And so you've got lobbyists and special interests. And so we're actually fueled by that. Let's say that that's your goal, that you want to break up big companies. It turns out that the government is lousy at that too. Guess who knocked down IBM? Two guys in their garage who created Apple. So once again, we've got the free market who's able to bust up the large company, the monopoly, and the government couldn't do it. Necessity is the mother of invention. And so if you allow people to freely decide what to do and let them be rewarded, they will work really hard. Yeah, I would never go against libertarian ideology, but I would take it piecemeal. So, for instance, there have been some libertarians who say, you know what, Social Security is gone on day one. And that is immoral and impractical. And it's a horrible thing to do, because you've got, first of all, 12 million people who are dependent on Social Security. You can't just assume they've all got grandchildren who can support them. So what I would do and I'm just using Social Security as an example, but I would do this for pretty much all of the, welfare type systems, is first of all, have immediate opt out, to where if you're in your 20s and 30s and you want to opt out because you know that this is a broken system, immediately you don't have to pay into it. For the people who paid into it 50, 60 years, who are dependent upon it, what I would do is sell government assets, federal government assets like downtown office buildings or mineral rights, and then give them a lump sum and say, okay, here's your money back. Because we all know that their money was not put into a lockbox. It was used to buy stuff. So I'm just going to sell stuff that they bought and give it back to them. True capitalism is that you don't need to give it money. People will go out and they will try to create the best product for it. Now, keep in mind, I'm not talking about crony capitalism in which you've got a big government giving big corporations money. I'm talking about true capitalism where you have to work to do a good job for your customers or you go out of business.